Sonic the Hedgehog is one of the biggest video game franchises of all time, and probably one of the most influential as well. Sonic has had quite the life. In 1991, Sonic made his way onto the Genesis as a way to create a mascot for Sega and show how radical and cool Sega's new system was. Sonic had many sequels afterwards, hopping across Sega platforms until finally landing on the GameCube and other third-party systems after Sega stopped making console hardware and became only a software publisher. In 2018, Paramount announced they were going to release a Sonic movie in November 2019, and a trailer landed on the internet a year later. This trailer featured the early design of Sonic and was criticized to all hell by the internet, leading the film to be delayed until 2020 so the team could create a new design for the blue blur. Afterwards, a trailer with the new design was released, and fans were pleased now that their favorite Hedgehog didn't look horrible. Sonic 2020 isn't the first Sonic movie. That title goes to Sonic OVA, as it's sometimes referred to, which released in 1996. While OVA was centered around the first 5 Genesis games, the live-action movie is mostly focused on the 1991 title, although references to other games make an appearance. So without further ado, let's analyze every aspect of the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, released in theaters on February 14, 2020 in the United States. First, let me lay out everything the movie has, and then we'll go on to what makes it good, and some critiques I have. The basic plot of the movie is, Sonic, voiced by Ben Schwartz, was a young lad that would run all day long, and was cared for by an owl named Longclaw. One day, when Sonic returns back home, he and Longclaw are attacked by what seems to be the Echidna tribe, due to their resemblance to the Echidna people from Sonic Adventure. Sonic must use one of his rings to travel to Earth for safety. He makes it out alive, but Longclaw was left behind. On Earth, Sonic does practically what he wants, runs around all day, messes with the locals, and has fun any way he wants. It's all fun and games until Robotnik, aka Eggman, played by Jim Carrey, is called in to investigate a mysterious blackout that was caused by Sonic. Robotnik figures out that something mystical made it happen. Sonic freaks out because he knows Robotnik will find him, so he tries to use one of his rings to go to another world, only to be found and captured by a cop named Tom, aka Donut Lord, played by James Marsden. Robotnik knows Tom has Sonic and raids his house, but they both escape and must keep running until they can find out what it takes to get rid of Robotnik. It all takes place in the Green Hill Zone area and San Francisco. Sonic and Tom want to stop Eggman, but along the way, they learn how to have some fun. Eggman uses his robots and human acquaintances to try and stop the team, and his inventions are nothing short of genius. Eggman also has his hands on one of Sonic's quills that produces an extraordinary amount of electricity, the source of his 2 superpowers. Sonic needs to get his rings back so he can go to another world because he believes it's not safe for him to stay on Earth anymore. After Sonic and Tom get into a showdown with Eggman, Sonic gets knocked out, so Tom goes to his wife Maddie's house, aka Pretzel Lady as Sonic calls her, played by Tika Sumpter, so they can revive him, and once they do, Sonic gets some new shoes. They go onto a skyscraper where Sonic dropped his rings, but are attacked by Eggman. Sonic saves his human allies and battles it off with Eggman. Sonic falls to his feet, ready to be finished by Robotnik, until Tom surprise attacks him, and Sonic's able to power up and send Robotnik to the Mushroom World Sonic was supposed to go to. After this, Sonic decides to stay on Earth now that he has new friends and nobody's out to get him. Cue the credits, which is a 16-bit animation of Sonic running around and doing the things he did during the movie in 2D. Very nice. Then during the mid-credits scene, Tails comes out of a portal and states,
"If these readings are accurate, he's here. I found him. I just hope I'm not too late."
This scene, of course, sets up the sequel. Now that I've laid out all the basics, let's talk about what makes the movie good and what brings it down. First, let's start off by talking about the star himself, Sonic. Sonic's character is executed quite well in this movie. Sonic hasn't had a consistent personality throughout the years. The Genesis era Sonic and Dreamcast era Sonic are similar in their actions, but since Sonic Colors, he's taken on a kinda different personality. Regardless, Sonic works in this movie because he's edgy and carefree, but most importantly, he's a hero. Sonic always fights for what's right, no matter how hard the situation is. His voice actor also fits the role quite well too. He's got the angst and pep that reflects the character. Robotnik's character is also executed quite well. He's a silly villain, although he can sometimes be intimidating. Pair that with him being played by Jim Carrey, he fits that role perfectly. Now, let's talk about the premise. Sonic being entangled in a world with humans isn't new. Plenty of the 3D games and even Sonic X had this concept, and they were fine for the most part. I think this world of humans works better than the 3D games, because the movie explains there's more than just the human world. The map shows other areas that kinda look like levels from the games, not to mention, Mushroom Hill from Sonic and Knuckles is on the map. Although, I gotta say, this setup is probably more important to the sequels, as the entire movie, with the exception of the intro, takes place on Earth. On the other hand, it explains there's a world with talking animals that have some kind of power, and that's kind of important to reasoning how Sonic came to be. Speaking of powers, the action scenes are pretty good as well. Seeing Sonic charge up and use his speed is very satisfying, even though he does it for most of the movie. There's just something about it that's so smooth and fun. It's reflective of those moments in the game where he gains speed and just rips through Robotnik's creation like there's no tomorrow. As for his other power, the electricity, it's also cool too. I don't think there's ever been a game where Sonic has the natural ability to create electricity. There is the lightning shield from Sonic 3, and the zoom power from Sonic Adventure 1, but not much else. Anyways, it fits the character. Electricity is known to strike fast, and can sting, just like a hedgehog that can go supersonic speeds, and has spiky quills. Now, let's talk about the designs and CGI. Sonic looks really good. Of course, he didn't always look like that, but the way his fur moves, his facial animations are human-like and not creepy, and whenever Sonic uses his speed, it's very natural and smooth. Not to mention, the amount of detail on his body. You can see individual quills, his gloves and socks have texture, his eyes reflect the light, and the irises have depth, his nose has bumps and imperfections, and his shoes are dirty and beat up due to running all these years. You could also say the same thing about Tails. Speaking of characters and CGI, the actors do a good job of making it seem like they're actually talking to a blue anthropomorphic hedgehog, not whatever the crew used in the real world to symbolize Sonic. Back to the designs, Eggman's design is very fitting, trying to be intimidating with his dark suit, tall stature, and robot army, but failing to be scary with his facial animations, his demeanor, and silly mustache. His robots are kinda different from the games. In the games, Robotnik's creations are reflective of animals, or himself, but in the movie, they're military-like. He does have egg-shaped robots, so that's kinda fitting, but everything else isn't like what it's in the games. Speaking of that subject, let's discuss the importance of connecting the Sonic games to the Sonic movie. This movie is allowed to take some liberties and differentiate itself from the games. It doesn't have to be a one-to-one recreation. New ideas keep the movie fresh and creative, and the things taken from the games make it so the movie feels like something that could have happened in one of the games, or just fit with the overall vibe of Sonic. I'd say overall, the movie is on the same wavelength of the games, and has enough ideas to expand and keep itself separate from the source material, but not too much to lose its touch. If anything, this movie feels more like Sonic X. Think about it, in both adaptations, Sonic arrives on Earth from another dimension, and keeps himself hidden from humans until he can find someone he can trust. After that, Sonic and his allies find Eggman and his evil schemes. Of course, the show and the movie have two different vibes, and Sonic and his friends' personalities are different too. No offense, Chris Thorndike, but Tom isn't as annoying as you are. Quite honestly, he's not really annoying. Other than that, there's the rings. Rings in the games are often seen as currency, and work as a shield of sorts, as characters will lose rings whenever they get hit instead of dying. Additionally, they also act as portals in the games too. After all, an In Sonic 1 and 3, there's giant rings Sonic could go through and get transported into another world. Anyways, let's talk about the Easter eggs. Some are more obvious than others, but regardless, they're a nice touch to the movie, as to reward some of the more veteran Sonic fans. I mean, they even got what seems to be the Sega Saturn logo on the map, the only Sega system that didn't have a major Sonic title. One last thing, I want to mention the cinematography. The movie is really good at building green hills as this small piece of the US that's perfect for Sonic. Unoccupied roads, deserted areas, royal homes, and plenty of woodlands add to the isolation of green hills. I mean, some of the shots are just beautiful, no deep world building needed. Okay, on to the critiques. This movie at times can feel kinda cheesy, or like it's trying to be too family friendly. It's a PG movie, sure, but considering a lot of teens and adults saw this movie, it just really doesn't work. It's not necessarily terrible, but the childish nature of some scenes take away more than it does give. Not to mention, some of the blatant product placement. From what I know, Paramount put some restrictions on what needed to be in the movie, so this might explain some of these scenes that feel like every other kid's movie, and that's not a good thing. It doesn't excuse their inclusion, but at least we can take some grief off the writers. Speaking of those more childish moments, let's talk about the humor. The humor is hit or miss. Some of the jokes are actually okay, while others don't really hit the mark. Not that they're bad jokes, they just don't land that well. The Sonic movie isn't perfect or a masterpiece, but it's fun. Sonic is what he should be, it has enough connections to the game, but has enough ideas to make a new Sonic story fresh and creative. The plot also makes sense and has potential, and the humans aren't annoying. It's a lot more than other video game movies can say. It does feel too PG at times, but the more serious scenes and action scenes make up for it. The sequel will be out next month, and it looks so good. Tails and Knuckles being prominent characters, the Eggman has a more classic design, zones from the game showing up, and Knuckles being the bad guy at first, oh boy, it's gonna be hard to mess up. And until next time, I guess we're just gonna have to wait until April 8th.